I don't know about you, but poetry is not my thing. I am still traumatized from high school, where I had to decipher the meaning of all these different weird poems and wade through their complicated imagery. Ugh, not fun. So if you were to tell me that, oh, there's a whole book in the Bible that's filled with 150 different poems, I'd be like, nope, hard pass. Well, despite my struggle with poetry, I've really come to appreciate it in the Bible, especially in the book of Psalms. I recently preached a sermon about Psalms. It was called The Language of Prayer. It's here on our YouTube channel if you want to look that up. And rather than give an overview of the book and talk about what it tells us about communicating with God, which is what that sermon was about, today I just want to read a few lines from a really beautiful psalm. Okay? This is Psalm 139. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you. When I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, O God. How vast is the sum of them. Were I to count them, they would outnumber the grains of sand. When I awake, I am still with you. If you get a chance, read the whole chapter here. This is one of the most popular psalms, and it's one of my favorites. But just in the verses that we read, we could draw out a lot for encouragement today. I see in there that God has a plan for your life. I see that God has innumerable thoughts about you. He cares deeply for you. But what I want to focus on for today is that first part, though. That you are a creation of God, fearfully and wonderfully made. You've heard this line before, I'm sure, but today I just want to let that sink into your mind and heart. We live in a world where we face the unrelenting pressure to measure up. We're bombarded with cultural ideas of perfection in every area of life. We're constantly compared or ranked based on assumptions of success or beauty or value. And we often don't even consciously think about these things. We just absorb and internalize them as we grow up. This is the water that we swim in, the air that we breathe. Without even thinking about it, we carry a background map that shapes how we think about others and ourselves. A little bit of history for you. Do you recognize this guy? This is Alexander the Great, or at least an artistic rendering of him. He was a Greek king and a military genius who had goals as big as his eyes. He wanted to conquer the world. He lived a short life, only barely into his 30s, but by that time, his military conquest stretched all the way to India. Now, at risk of oversimplifying, Alexander's overall goal was to make the world Greek. He didn't want to just subjugate the people of the lands that he conquered. He wanted to make them adopt the ideas and values of Greek civilization. This process was called Hellenism, which is just a fancy term for the Greeking of the world. See, Alexander wouldn't just conquer, he would also build. He would make temples and schools and gymnasiums and theaters where Greek ideas could be communicated. Well, Greek culture changed a lot of things, but what I want to focus on today is specifically how they saw human value. Mike Erre writes this in his book Astonished. Central to Greek thought was the perfection of the human person. The Greeks saw human beings at the center of everything. They emphasized the beauty of the naked human body, the wisdom and rationality of the human mind, and the glory and achievement that could be won through human effort. This is reflected in Greek art, sculpture, drama, and poetry. Human worth was tied to achievement and accomplishment. How intelligent, athletic, or beautiful someone was reflected their worth in the eyes of the greater community. The value of human life became measured in terms of beauty, intelligence, and military, athletic, or political achievement. So what happens as a result of this is that anyone who didn't fit the Greek ideal was pushed to the margins of culture. Whatever wasn't of sound mind or body became disposable. Circuses paraded the disabled and deformed. The disfigured became amusements in royal courts. One of the most horrifying practices of the Greeks, and later the Romans, was the exposure of infants. So if a baby was unwanted or undesirable for whatever reason, it could be left outside the city to be exposed to the elements. This is attested to through many sources. Aristotle writes this: "As to the raising and exposure of children, let there be a law that no deformed child shall live." Or here, in a letter dated from 1 BC, a man called Hilarion writes to his pregnant wife about household affairs, and in the letter he writes this: "I ask and beg you to take good care of our baby son, and as soon as I receive payment, I shall send it up to you. If you are delivered a child before I come home, if it is a boy, keep it. If a girl, discard it." Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, wrote, "We slaughter a fierce ox, we strangle a mad dog, we plunge the knife into sickly cattle, lest they taint the herd. Children who are born weakly and deformed, we drown." I could give more examples, but I don't want to, and you get the point. This is disgusting. Hellenism was valuable when it came to education and modernization and artistry, but it radically redefined human worth. Let me share a few more things with you. These are not quite as ancient. In 2011, there was a mother in San Francisco who regularly injected her 8-year-old daughter with Botox so that she could compete in beauty pageants. When she came under investigation for this, the mother's defense was that the other pageant moms were doing the same thing to their daughters. In 2018, over $16 billion was spent on cosmetic surgery. Studies have shown that job applicants who were considered more attractive received more and better job offers than those considered less attractive. Attractive women had a callback rate of 54%. Unattractive women had a callback rate of 7%. A study by the Florida Health Institution found that 87% of women and 65% of men compare their bodies to images that they consume on social and traditional media. There's an actual fertility bank that is built to connect prospective parents to physically attractive reproductive donors. BeautifulPeople.com accepts applicants based on how its members rate an applicant's picture on a scale of beauty. Now, initially, this service was just for beautiful people to make more beautiful people. But listen to the company's founder heroically speak about how the company has become much more charitable in its mission. "Initially, we hesitated to widen the offering to non-beautiful people. But everyone, including ugly people, would like to bring good-looking children into the world, and we can't be selfish with our attractive gene pool." I know Jesus said to turn the other cheek, but he's asking to be punched in the face. The statistics are unending. Here's my point. Hellenism is very much alive and well in America today. Not just regarding physical attractiveness, but also in how we look at intelligence and wealth and success as barometers of a person's worth. And here's why we're talking about this today. The church should be a loud, defiant voice challenging this value system. Biblically, your value comes not in human function, but in human essence. Or put another way, more clearly, your value lies not in what you can do or achieve or how you look. Your value lies in the fact that you are created in the image of God. Full stop. As followers of Jesus, we need to speak out and live out the liberating truth that image isn't everything. Jesus should be made real in the way that we love and value those that culture sees as defective. We need to end our cultural obsession with airbrushing weaknesses and highlighting achievements. Why? Because we believe this. You, God, created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. This is more than just a pick-me-up for those with poor self-image. This is a protest and a challenge to cultural assumptions that we are drenched in. And so as an individual and as a church community, here's the question for today. How can you fight against this cultural pressure? What does it look like for the people of Jesus to redefine strength and weakness? Well, we first have to deal with this in our own lives. How have you bought into our culture's obsession with image and achievement? I think we all have in some way. Where is it in your life, and what can you do to fight against this? And then secondly, how can you affirm the inherent value in those who are around you, especially those who may not have value in the eyes of culture? I'll leave you with the words of VeggieTales. This is very simple, but very true. God made you special, and he loves you very much. The randomizer is taking us to another book of the Bible for tomorrow. We got one more video this week before our live stream this Sabbath. We will be in the book of Titus tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you then. Have a great rest of your day.